Welcome to the DGTL Growth Podcast, where marketing leaders share real wins and the challenges behind them. I'm Suse Barnes. Today, I'm joined by David Arato, founder and CEO of Lexicon Legal Content. David, thanks for joining.
Thanks so much for having me.
Great. Let's kick off by hearing a little bit about Lexicon Legal Content. What do you do? What's your vision for the company?
Absolutely. Short version is we create optimized, accurate, and jurisdiction-specific content for law firms throughout the country. We also work a lot with digital marketing agencies that may service the legal vertical, but they don't have either the expertise or the personnel to ensure that they're producing accurate content for their law firms.
And are you looking to grow the business in the next 6 to 12 months or so?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're always trying to grow. I do subscribe to the thinking that if you're not growing, you are shrinking and failing. So we're always looking for more clients. And yeah, absolutely.
Are there any strategic changes or innovations that you're leading right now or seeing as trends in legal content marketing that you want to share about? Sure, great.
I think this is content writ large. I think that there are some things about, well, AI is my short answer. Obviously, AI does a great job at creating generic, smooth, unremarkable content. And I think almost 3 years ago now, is it? Wow, it is. It's almost 3 years. GPT, kind of took over the public consciousness. I think there was thinking for a long time that the cost of content, creating good content, and I'm referring specifically to textual content, would go to near zero. And that thankfully wasn't the case, because I'd be in a different line of work at this point if it were. So that is the initiative. That is what we're trying to leverage and trying to figure out how to use it to create great content more quickly and more inexpensively for our clients.
How do you do that? How do you prevent the tools from generating that generic, smooth, unremarkable content?
Great question. And I love that you got my adjectives back to me. So I think, and I alluded to this earlier, I think in regulated industries like legal, especially if you're creating long form content and not marketing copy for an ad campaign or like product descriptions, there's a bit of a moat there that the content needs to be, and I said this earlier as well, compliant with the rules of professional conduct in every state, which might vary from state to state. Also, as all of us who are observers of this know, AI has a tendency to hallucinate if it doesn't know effect. So for us, we use AI as a tool to speed up the content creation process, not necessarily for the content creation itself. That being said, there are certain aspects of it that it excels at. For example, rewriting a call to action 30 different ways. That should be at the end of every blog post that we create for a law firm, right? But we need to ensure that the first draft of content or the outline or whatever it is that we're using AI for, because it changes regularly, is only a starting point and isn't, of course, the product that we're, first of all, selling to our clients, nor is it the content that we expect to rank well on Google. Because ultimately, the goal, right, is to get the content we create to show up first for relevant search terms that are of high value to our clients. So how to make sure it's not smooth, unremarkable, generic content. You need to ensure that you're adding local information to the content that maybe AI, something timely that AI doesn't know yet, right? Because it's trained regularly on a different corpus of data. And I don't know what the data is today, but I remember for the longest time, for example, ChatGPT had a knowledge cutoff of January 21 or something. So it didn't know newer information. So what we do is we take AI created content and then substantially rework it into such a way that it is likely to rank and reads like human being wrote it, which ultimately human being did write it, because it is fundamentally an assistant, right? I think the binary view of, is this AI content, is this not AI content, is no longer really valid.
A couple of months ago, I talked to somebody about whether I was talking about AI, and he was like, it's like having a PhD in your pocket.
I think that's actually really accurate.
Well, I mean, I think in some ways it is, but in some ways it's really not, right? I think, is it an intern or is it a
You know
PhD?
what?
I
And
think,
I'm going to walk back on what I said. It's a
yeah.
really smart first year law student intern, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
here's what I think: the job has completely changed from what it was in the before times. I felt like our job as a company was to source excellent, talented writers who could create content quickly and accurately at scale. And the thing we were concerned about before AI, either as a content creation tool, as an editing tool, or whatever, was misspelled word and drop commas and typographical issues that human beings are subject to. And Claude doesn't make grammatical mistakes, right? That being said, the differentiation between, rather, the way that we're editing content has changed fundamentally. We're creating much better content than we used to, but because we're not spending a lot of resources making sure that there aren't typos,
Mhm.
right? The time is better spent localizing the content, making it align with our law firm clients' value proposition in their voice, and ensuring that it has the flags of authenticity and originalness that Google is going to rank. Because I think one of the big issues here is that by definition, large language models are creating generic content, right? It's supposed to be homogenized. That's literally how they operate, right? So, like for us, the challenge is how do you leverage this tool but not come out with a homogenized product?
I assume this isn't the case for legal content, but I imagine some people might be even putting typos into their content in order to have it seem more authentic.
I saw a link, like this is very anecdotal, but I am unsurprisingly in my LinkedIn network in a lot of legal circles and copywriting circles, because that's really the nexus of where we're operating is
Hmm.
search engine optimization, copywriting, and legal compliance. That's how I describe it. Anyhow, I saw a woman who I don't think I've met her in person, but that I've interacted with a bunch, and she's in a similar field. And I'm going to paraphrase here, but her post was basically, "What a world. I've trained to become this technical writer in the legal space, and I've done this for 20 and 30 years, whatever. What a world that I've been asked to include a couple typos here and there to make sure that this is picked up and ranks well." We haven't gone that far. I don't think it's necessary, but I do understand the thinking, especially if you're trying to get past, which frankly, I don't think they work very well, these AI detectors,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
We have worked with clients in the past that have asked us to use them. And my personal experience is that they're not very accurate. But if you're trying to get a certain score, sure, drop a comma, misspell a word, see what happens, because you might get your score where you need it to be.
What about the whole M dash phenomenon?
So I didn't realize that until very recently, that I guess it's ChatGPT is the one that's doing that. Am I getting it right?
Yeah,
If you're a
yeah,
person who likes the M dash, which I am one of those people, it's really
yeah.
frustrating to have to use a semicolon, which I would consider incorrect in the right, or like
Hmm.
a comma where you'd use an M dash. I'm frustrated by it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's sad because, people are saying, "Oh, I can tell when it's been written by AI if it has an M dash." And
That's true.
and the best writers use M dashes in the best places. And
That's right.
so it's anyway. What major shifts are you seeing in the content marketing industry and legal?
I don't want to talk about AI for the whole podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything other
Well,
than
no,
AI
there
that
is. There
yeah.
is. I think the type of content so I think this might be true in all content marketing.
Mhm.
I see that the type of content we're creating is shifting. Let me back up a little bit. The SEO principles of days long past now still apply. Google has always been clear about if you want your content to rank well, it needs to provide actual value to your readers and demonstrate experience, expertise, authority, and trust. Our industry acronym is EEAT. I don't think that's changed. What I think has changed in because of the flood of AI content and the fact that it is really inexpensive now to create a bunch of shitty content and post it on your website, and it's less expensive than it was. There's been a flood of bad content out there, and I think that Google has responded in a way as to be more discerning about what it's ranking and surfacing in certain search results. This is what we've seen as observers, because obviously Google is not giving their algorithm to the public. I see the focus on what we're doing changing, right? Like, don't bury the lead, which I think worked before. We were creating 5,000 word pieces of content, which I think approximately is like 5 single-spaced word pages on car accidents for our law firm clients who are in personal injury. Those would rank really well because I think Google looked at it and thought to itself, not thought to itself, but the algorithm was such that it's like, well, this is deep content. It is exhaustive. This attorney is showing or this law firm rather, showing their expertise because of just how big the content was, how voluminous it was, right? I think now, because creating that kind of content is so inexpensive and so quick, what we've done is we've started focusing on things like answer the question right away at the top, right? That ranks well these days because like consumers want their answer right away. Also, it's been really good for AI overviews to have a conversational tone rather than a lawyerly, I would say, tone, or like a third person formal tone. We're much more conversational in the content that we're creating, and we're seeing that's working for ranking well because it's responsive to the way consumers are now interacting with AI and Google and the internet at large, right? So I've seen the focus change in the past 3 years significantly as to what are the metrics that make content good. Another thing too that we just implemented in the past year is schema markup, which is something, as someone who has a non-technical background, I thought this was way above my head. It turns out that it's not above our head or our company's head. But the point is, I'm seeing schema markup really affect what's showing up in the AI overviews, which, if you're an observer of this kind of thing, it's interesting to note that for many searches, AI overviews are A, generated, B, take up most of the page. So the consumer now has to scroll down to even get to the organic results, which I think is devaluing traditional search engine optimization and making artificial intelligence optimization, or AIO, more valuable than it was.
Are you seeing declines in traffic from Google?
I think the industry is doing that. So like, we don't keep the metrics on our majority of our work is with digital marketing agencies who are keeping their clients' metrics. So we do see the metrics quarterly, but we're not doing monthly reports for most of the law firms we work with. So I don't feel like I have enough data to answer that question accurately. But I do think, as an industry observer, I think it's pretty clear that click-through rates are going way, way down, and people are freaking out, especially if your monetization is based on traffic. Now, if your monetization is based on conversions, we've got to figure out how to do the attribution differently. And no, this came in from Google AI, this came in from ChatGPT, this came in from Claude, rather than traditional SEO traffic.
Are you starting to track or are your clients starting to track where they're getting more visibility in AI engines?
Absolutely. We're tracking it now for the handful of clients we do their metrics for them. We're tracking it now using SEMrush One. Great. Also, we are tracking our own there. And I think more and more tools are coming out that are allowing attribution for AI mentions. The thing about the AI mentions, I think, that are so difficult as a marketer, and specifically a content marketer, to track are the volatility. Like, if you thought SEO was volatile, which it was, I've run this test myself. Like, give me the top 10 personal injury law firms in Denver. I run that search 10 times, and 10 times I get different results. Now, are the usual suspects are showing up, but like in a different order, and often they might, the AI might throw in like a curveball that wasn't in the previous search, right? So like, the volatility is crazy. So the question becomes, and how do we optimize for that if it's that volatile,
Mm-hmm. And you have to also know your audience and how they are searching and what their level of sophistication is on the AI tools, right? Are they just simply asking a question, or are they giving a bunch of context behind their prompt?
And that's what we're seeing, I think, when your audience is interacting with a LLM platform. I'm going to call them chatbots. I'm not sure what we're calling them these days, but reteam
Yeah.
Claude, right? Like
Mhm.
I haven't even had a chance. I've been so busy to play with is it Atlas? ChatGPT's new. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play with that one at all. But like, first of all, I think we're seeing hybrid models because Google now is fully hybridized, right? Like you get some AI results, you get some organic results. Anyway, what we're seeing is when consumers interact with chatbots, let's call them, that they're much more conversational. And I've like seen transcripts of these chats that are like, I'm getting a divorce. I'm in California. Is this are we in a community property state or are we in an equitable division state? Right. But that's the first query. And then the query becomes more conversational. Like, okay, so what about the kids? Like, what does child custody look like in California? Okay, what are the factors the court will use to determine child custody? And these used to be in traditional SEO, in traditional Google search, rather. I think these were discrete searches that happened consecutively rather than a conversation, which really affects the way we look at creating content because we want the content to be comprehensive and responsive to these kind of queries that are multi-step queries that follow a more fluid format rather than let me get an answer to this one question that a legal consumer.
Mhm. Yeah, that's interesting. In your business, what is working well for you right now and what's been frustrating?
Sure. From a business perspective, our agency partnerships that we've been forming over the past, I'd say, half decade now, are really coming to they've been very good for business growth. There's been a lot of consolidation. I don't know if this has been occurring outside of the legal marketing sphere,
Mhm.
but there's been a ton of consolidation in our little corner of this. Is that true for you as well? For what you're seeing,
Well, definitely in advertising, we're seeing.
advertising?
Yeah. Yeah.
We see some of the big agencies being bought by bigger agencies or private equity, and they are our partners. We stand to benefit from that deal, right? Like if two agencies come together and we're one of the vendors and they like us, so that's been really great. So we've moved out, and I want to be clear about this to anyone listening. We are happy to work with law firms. We're not going to turn down that kind of work, but we've been really changing our business model to effectively serve as a content vendor full service marketing agencies that do not want to deal with content creation, either using just AI tools or managing 20 freelancers that they found on Upwork or Fiverr. We've really tried to create, and I think successfully done so, create a model where we're set up to service agencies at scale with specialized content for law firms that they can count on to be accurate, compliant, and optimized.
And then on the frustrating side, anything frustrating?
Yeah, absolutely. I keep going back to it. I'm trying really hard not to. But what's been really, I mean, it's been extraordinarily disruptive, AI. It's been really difficult to navigate because Google has been clear about their policy is they don't care how content is created so long as it is quality and provides value to the reader. That said, law firms, rightfully so, and agencies also don't want to tank a website by throwing a bunch of generic AI content onto it. And we've seen that. We've seen, despite Google's outward public statements as to we don't care, they don't want scaled content that's pumped out of ChatGPT that doesn't provide any value. So it's been a really difficult needle to thread, so to speak, to determine the agency, without naming names, have talked out of both sides of their mouth, right? They're like, we want you to use AI to get our costs down. Okay. But the content shouldn't look like AI content, right? So like this has been really difficult to navigate that specifically. And like I alluded to it earlier with the tools not being very accurate. So like how do we ensure that this is mostly human? I can't put a camera on our writing staff. And frankly, I don't want to because we should use the tools we're given. I mean, frankly, like I don't know if you're familiar with Grammarly. I think a lot of people are, but
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
that has been running on AI, some form of AI, for years now.
Yeah.
I mean, before ChatGPT hit the scene, Claude, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So we have been using AI to some extent. And again, this goes back to my thing about it's not binary anymore, right? So we've been using AI based tools to make better content since before ChatGPT. So like, where is that line drawn and how do we navigate that? So that's been really frustrating. Also, another frustration has been, so there's been clear downward price pressure on content creation from our clients, which we've successfully resisted to some extent. There was recently a study that came out, I think University of New Zealand, maybe Auckland, I can't remember the title of it, but he was a researcher in the legal field, not a lawyer, an academic. And the paper, I'm going to butcher it, but I'm going to try my best. You know what? I'm not even going to try the title. I'm going to discuss the premise. And that is gains made in efficiency using AI in the legal industry are offset by the onerous verification issues. So ultimately, like, you're doing the same amount of work just in a different way, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. The downward pricing quest.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that will eventually go away once the market understands more of how LLMs work and how the tools are being used?
I think it depends on the industry. Because this is the example I always use. If I were selling espresso machines or coffee accoutrements generally, and I had an e-commerce store, I would 100% be using AI to create every single product description that we needed on each thumbnail. I think AI does a great job of that. And as a result, I think that generalist copywriters, I don't know if that industry is going to recover from AI content creation. I don't know. I hate prognosticating because, like, none of us know, right? Like, we might all be bound down to a robot or overlords by January 1. Who knows? You know what I mean? I hope not.
Hope not.
You know,
Yeah.
but with the rapid rate of change, it's so difficult to. But if I had to put money on it, do think, and I'm actually putting more money where my mouth is because we're investing in getting to other industries right now. I think regulated industries where accuracy and trust really matter, I do think that you're going to see a rebound from downward price pressure. I mean, I don't blame these agency partners of ours. I don't blame them for saying, you used to do it X cents per word. Now let's do it at Y cents per word, because I'm playing with ChatGPT and I see that this used to take you guys 2 hours to do, and now it takes you guys 20 minutes to do. I get where they're coming from, but again, the work has changed. And I do think there will be a rebound as competition in the content marketing space bears out the fact that you need to have significant human intervention to get content to do its job in the search engine optimization and artificial optimization space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I mentioned this quote before to you at some point, but I like it because it's not the tool, right? The quote is, "The music is not in the piano."
I like that.
So you need somebody who knows how to use the tool effectively
That's right.
to produce the best content that knows how it's going to be received by the engines today, in 3 weeks,
That's right.
in 5 months, all of that stuff. So it's, those clients that are saying you should be charging us less. It's no, we are learning what the market is doing today and adapting for you on the fly to
Absolutely.
make sure that our content is going to be accepted. So, I think eventually I'm hoping we'll get there where people will understand.
I think so. And we've already seen it happen over the past 3 years of established relationships taking a hit in their established relationships, but then when forming new relationship, explaining how we differ from an AI content house that's just pumping and then commanding a premium rate. Again, as we have attorney leadership. I went to law school as the founder. We have mostly JDs on staff. So like, we can still command. I already see the curve going back up. While we have a quick pause, the paper I referenced is The Verification Value Paradox, a normative critique of Gen AI in legal practice. And his name it looks like Joshua Uravi, senior lecturer in law at Auckland Law School.
Hmm. We'll share it in the show notes.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah,
I didn't want to take
great.
his work and not give the guy a shout out.
No, that sounds like a good read.
Exciting, riveting read.
A good bedtime reading. Where do you want to be in 6 to 12 months from now with the business? You mentioned you're sort of expanding.
Sure. So I think we want to take, not we want to, I think we are taking the fact that we have attorney leadership again and understand compliance by virtue of having our roots in the legal industry and applying this knowledge and compliance competency to any industry which requires compliance in their marketing materials. I'm going to go back to espresso machines. Like there's not a lot of compliance there other than FTC regulations, right? But if you're a med spa or a orthodontist or a financial advisor or I think HVAC is shockingly highly regulated as well. So we want to expand, and we've actually already launched the brand. The website isn't live yet, but the LLC exists. So we want to get into what we do for law firms, any regulated industry. So, and the great thing for us from a business perspective strategically is that a lot of our bigger agency clients have adopted this model already. So we've got agency clients that have law firms, and they're like, hey, by the way, we're also servicing 80 different cosmetic dentistry practices throughout the country. We need content for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. If you could solve one major challenge today, David, what would it be?
A tough one. Operationally or like substantively? Or does it matter?
Doesn't matter as long as it's business related.
Business.
Not.
I would like to, within our internal operations, be able to, again, leverage. So we have this we have a digital asset management problem. I wouldn't call it a problem. It is an unwieldy issue, digital asset management. And what I mean is just tracking, like we're doing thousands of pieces of content per month for law firms. Millions of words per month are being written by our team. It is an unwieldy, huge job. And we've tried different tools. We've tried gather content. We're running on Trello. We're looking at Airtable. Like that, just this all of the off the shelf tools for running an agency, a content agency. The question becomes which one is least bad, right? What's the best worst solution we can find, because none of them are good. And I know that there is, and like it creates inefficiencies in our operation, which affects profitability, which as CEO is ultimately what is my job, right? The biggest part of my job is ensuring profitability, and I would like to solve that problem, and we have not figured it out yet.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And this being said, things are fine. I just know that they could be better.
Yeah, always.
When you have personnel saying, where's this file that we received from a writer 2 weeks ago? And then they spend 45 minutes digging through an email thread or our submission email inbox or checking an old Trello card from a month ago that might have been archived. That's not a good way to run a business, right? And
no,
we just have not found the solution that allows us to track these files at the scale at what we're doing it without, I think enterprise scale software that is built use case specific would do it. We are just not there as an organization yet. Like we're not a $500 million company that's going to have our own.
Is it also somewhat of a standard operating procedure challenge?
Sure, especially with a fully remote team. Like we certainly have culture, we certainly have meetings, and we certainly have newsletters and Slack channels and communication. But there's nothing that will, you can't hold people's hands, especially from afar, right? So you create the SOP, you can put it on your Notion board, you can give it to every member of the team, but when people are remote, they're much more likely to go rogue and just do it their way. Especially when you don't have someone's office, you can walk down the hall, knock on the door. Hey, can you remind me how we do this? Right? That conversation doesn't happen in a fully remote team. So the SOPs exist. I'm just not sure they're always fine.
It just made me think of a podcast I used to listen to a long time ago. I think it was called Manager. manager tools or something like that. And one of the things he said was leading by walking around,
You know what?
which is
No, I've heard this before.
in the office,
Yeah,
that was easy to do because you could just walk around and see what people were doing and kind of get a feel of, how each team member was holding up. But certainly the world has changed a lot since then.
absolutely.
We're no longer in that environment. Do you have such a thing as a dream client, David?
Our ICP, like here
Yeah.
we go with the acronyms. Our ideal client, customer profile, client profile, like the 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 avatar of who we want to work with is a marketing agency that works with law firms and other clients in regulated professions who want to outsource their content. I've seen
Mhm.
marketing agencies build in-house content teams. I've seen them do it successfully. See them do it unsuccessfully. I think it's really, how big of a team do you want to manage? Right. Um, I'm going on a tangent. That is our ideal client I'm going to say two. For Lexicon, the brand that we're talking about right now, law firms with a person or a position that owns marketing. So we've worked with a bunch of solo lawyers. We've worked with very small law firms, 2 to 3 attorneys. And what I've seen time and time again is excitement about it for 6 months. And when they don't see an ROI right away, which this is a long play, content marketing is going, we're talking about years, right? But keep in mind, like, let's say your marketing spend is $15,000 a year, which would not be terribly low, unheard of for a small law firm for content, but your one case is worth 5 million. Like, look at the big picture in ROI. So what I've seen with a lot of small law firms, if someone doesn't own marketing as something that's there under their purview, and like the success or not success of marketing is something that is like a metric in their job proficiency, we've seen these clients, the churn is crazy. So the churn is not crazy with a law firm that has a marketing director who, again, owns the task of marketing and understands the value in content marketing and wants a content vendor. That's also a great client for us.
Does that mean it's a certain number of employees at a law firm, or is it just any law firm that has a marketing department?
I
Or
would say the latter. I would also say anecdotally, I haven't seen a lot of law firms with a dedicated marketing director or department under 10, 15 attorneys.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
just haven't
okay.
haven't seen it.
Final few questions. Do you have any predictions for what 2026 will look like for your industry?
More of the same, just more crazy disruption. I will say this. I do think the rate of change with the AI tools in the first 23, 24, even in first half of 25 was insane. And when I saw, I don't know if you remember this, but when we first started messing with ChatGPT, it wasn't connected to the internet. It didn't have internet capabilities like search. It had a closed body of knowledge. And every day I was reading another thing. I remember Sam Altman he wrote out, I think it was some code on a napkin and then showed ChatGPT the code, and the ChatGPT built an app right there in like 5 minutes. I think I'm getting this right. And like that rate of change was such that I remember just looking at my wife, who's my business partner as well, and just telling her, I was like, I should go take the Colorado bar, because at least like there's a moat around law licensure where like they're not going to let AI into the courtroom yet. You,
Yet, yeah.
you know what I mean? So the rate of change was so crazy for those first 2 years. I do think, just from my perspective, it's leveled off a bit. So I think maybe more, when I say more of the same, what I'm going to revise what I said. I think maybe what we're going to see is more mainstream adoption of these tools in both content marketing and marketing generally, in a way that makes sense and is valuable to the client. Because I think the fear is I think we've like settled down a little bit. At least my reading of the temperature of this industry is like, we've settled down. We understand that it's a reality. We understand it's another tool. We also understand that it's not going to take all our jobs tomorrow.
Mhm.
And that was a
Yeah.
scary thing. When I relayed that story of showing ChatGPT with a camera a piece of code on a napkin, I was like, what's next? But like those moments of mind blown, I think are a little fewer and further between, or we're just desensitized. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. I think people are more comfortable with it. I think we're not seeing as many of the mind blown moments. I
I
guess
agree.
that's, yeah, I think
Well,
that's what.
I do think they're leveling out a bit.
Mhm.
Multimodal interaction with these tools was always going to come. Like being able to do it and being able to show it photos, and like that's been a long time in the pipe. And I'm not like, was it shocking? Yes. Is it surprising? No. Right? Like I think that we just should have expected that. But like again, it's I don't want to call it the 80/20 principle because I think that's the wrong thing. But I like think about the iPhone, for example. Like when I first got my hands on an iPhone, it was actually my law school graduation present, one of them, 2009. When I first got my hands on an iPhone, in my own hands, obviously, like they've been out for a couple of years at that point, I was like, this thing's amazing. Like, holy shit. Like, wow. Since then,
Yeah.
it's been really iterative and like very, what's the word I'm looking for? The improvements have been smaller and smaller. Am I talking about the law of diminishing returns here a bit, right? Like, same principle, sort of, right? That like the first iPhone was mind blowing, and then like okay, like we added some new functionality to it, and then Siri came out, but like it's just been small incremental changes. What I've been going for this whole time, as I just told. In-
Yes.
just
Yes.
boom, there it is.
Yes.
Incremental
Increment.
change, and I think like the increments have gotten smaller, and I think like the iPhone's a perfect example of this. Like it changed smartphones, in overnight, but since then, where have the huge revolutionary like improvements been? There haven't been. It's like variations on a theme, and I'm bored with it. Like I'm on my iPhone 17 now. I don't even know, right? Like, and like it's not that much different. It's bigger. Like, oh, this one has rounded edges and a flat bottom, and it's like, oh,
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot better than a 12, but I mean, it's, and frankly, it may not be better than some Android, but
really,
from an experience point of view, people that are, iPhone loyalists are going to stay because they love the experience, right?
absolutely. And I've been on an iPhone since 2009. I I'm just saying that the revolutionariness, if that's a word, of the iPhone was now 16, 17 years ago. And
Hmm.
there hasn't been another revolution where like, look, it doesn't even have a button. I guess that did happen. I take it back. There is no button. But you know what I mean? Like the fact that the phone didn't have buttons, it had one button. Like that was the thing. And like
Yeah, we're not at the point where it's totally invisible yet,
that's
right?
right.
It's
That's right. Well, and I think the same thing is happening with these tools is that there's going to be incremental improvements and they're going to get better and better. But like the the AI revolution, again, I'm going to use this word, that was 3 years ago now, right? And like, of course, there's going to be something else. Of course, there is. I don't know what that is yet, but like the tools as they sit today, and the little bit of technical stuff that I've read, like it doesn't necessarily help to give these models more data. Like we're at a point where they're maybe as good as they're going to be almost until the next sea change. I don't know.
I mean, I think that it's like a car is a car. A car does certain things, and that's, it's not an airplane yet.
That's right. Well, and car manufacturers are bored, right? Like I can see it whenever we get a new vehicle. I'm like, okay, why did we have to turn the gear shifter from a lever into a dial? Why did this have to happen, right? Like because you were bored and you're like, what can we do? Because we perfected the thing 30 years ago. I I'm at that age where like I remember when economy cars were truly economy cars, and like I remember like AC being an option, right? You know what I mean? And now every
Hmm.
car I get into, I don't care if it's an economy Japanese import or the latest BMW. Like, it's got heated seats and it's got backup camera, and it's got all the bells and whistles that you would expect. And this was not the case 30 years ago, right? Like, I think we're really off topic here. I think that the value in vehicles has gotten so much narrower, right? Like, even the cheapest thing on the market's going to be nicer than the Geo Metro of 1995 was,
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the point is, it may look the same, but there's still a lot that is going on in the background, and we sort of evolve with it. Expectations now are, just like the cars that have air conditioning.
That's right.
Expectations will be, this should be better in the AI space because of AI. And
Absolutely.
I'm seeing a lot more on the agentic side where you're using various tools to connect with each other and speak to each other and get projects done, not just, content might be one piece, but there's a number of pieces together that would then take it from beginning to end, a complete solution.
Yeah, and I focus on the content thing because that's a space I work in.
Yeah.
But when talking about our digital, I didn't get there in my insert, but when talking about digital asset management, I've been thinking about the agentic AI thing too. Why do I even have staff digging through? Well, no, I mean, I want to have staff, obviously. Like, we're not there yet. What I mean is, like, when the example I used was digging through thousands of Word document or Google Doc files to find something that we need to deliver to the client. Like, this is a job for AI. We just haven't figured out how to use agentic AI. I'm not even sure if it's available, frankly, for us. Is that a thing you build yourself, or is there an off the shelf solution? I have no idea. In my favorite tool to use, Claude, and I have a Claude tab open all day. Basically, as my assistant, even if it's like a question, should I reply to this email right away or wait a day? Right? Like, something like that. Like, I might get Claude's opinion on that. But long story short, I've noticed that Claude's moving more towards agentic AI a little bit too, rather than just like a chatbot that you talk to. That now it can look at my Google Docs. Now it can look at my Google Sheets and do an analysis. Like, we're working on some SEO initiatives for ourselves, and Claude is my assistant in this. Like, looking at my spreadsheet and giving me feedback on, are these good keywords to target, et cetera, et cetera. It's not yet changing the spreadsheet for me, which is frustrating, but I'm sure we're getting there. And like, would I like AI to book my tickets, my flights? Absolutely. That'd be great. Trust it yet.
Yeah, eventually you'll just give it all your credit cards and it can just do whatever you want.
That's right.
Whatever it wants, yeah. All right. Well, David, this has been fun. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
And look forward to seeing your new expanded business line rolling out.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Oh, do you want to share how to get a hold of you?
Please, David at lexiconlegalcontent.com. I'm all over the socials, so you can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Instagram. Really easy to get a hold of.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Suse. I appreciate it.
Yeah.